Where are you? There you are. Now, today we're going to be talking about beer. Motherfucker, you CO2. We blow up hipsters, pretentious simply full of shit. Now, it was about 10 years ago that this small brewery in Scotland decided to try to make the world's strongest beer. Now, the end of history was a 55% ABV beer that broke all the records and actually sent huge shockwaves into the industry and way, way beyond. Now, it was stronger than most whiskies, gins and vodkas, but there were only 11 bottles made. Now, that itself is an incredible achievement, but what was even more crazy and outlandish was that they presented this beer in stuffed animals, stoats and grey squirrels, and that was the packaging that this beer came in for these 11 people. This beer company, of course, was BrewDog, and one of the founders of BrewDog pronounced this drink an audacious blend of eccentricity, artistry and rebellion. Obviously, not everyone agreed with the point of it. The charity advocates for animals denounced this as perverse, out-of-date shock tactics and exploited and degraded animals. Now, fast forward 10 years, and BrewDog is now one of just 21 UK unicorns. A unicorn is a company, a startup company with a valuation of more than $1 billion, so about £760 million. Now, BrewDog were actually the slowest company to get to that $1 billion valuation within the current 21 unicorns. But you can't take anything away from this company that was once turned down by the production team of Dragon's Den. How cool is that? So look, the success of BrewDog is an incredible, incredible story, especially against this backdrop of the demise almost of the alcohol industry, of the beer industry across the UK and much more widespread. Over the last 40 years, it has absolutely tanked, but yet BrewDog have somehow found this way to carve their niche, and more than that, become the biggest alcohol company in the country. So we've got to think to ourselves, how is it that BrewDog became such a powerhouse, not just in the alcohol and the beverage industry, but as a UK startup? And for me, one of the biggest elements of their success story is their incredible brand. Now, brand is not just a logo or a visual identity. I recently spoke to Sarah Gordon about this. She was the head of brand at Bloom and Wild, and now she's a freelance brand and marketing specialist, and she said this.
I mean, some people compartmentalize brand as, it's just some design elements or the fluffy bit over here. And the way that I often talk to early stage companies and to founders is, brand is the thing that people really take away from experiencing whatever products and services you offer. We're incredibly visual people. And so, most people tend to comprehend a brand first visually, then verbally, and then through the experience they have. So I think it's the sum of its parts, really. So what I tend to think about is, what sort of memory structures do you want to build with your users, and what impression do you want to leave behind? Because those 2 to 3 seconds where they have an interaction with your brand, whether it's from customer service or somebody delivering a parcel or experience on your website, all of that becomes the impression that's left with the brand.
BrewDog's brand is quite unique. They describe themselves as the post-punk, apocalyptic motherfucker of craft brewery. Amazing. They urged their customers to ride towards anarchy. Slogans such as "In hops we trust," "This is the revolution, so help me dog." And they aim to change the world one glass at a time. They have a charter, and in this charter they have phrases such as "We bleed craft beers, we blow shit up, and without us we are nothing, we are BrewDog." That is about balls and integrity and not giving a shit about anyone else's thoughts. Now, not everyone sees things as they do. Hipsters, pretentious wankers, arseholes, simply full of shit. Some of the ways that people have been talking about them online. One beer blogger once wrote of them, "An instinctively repulsive operation of expanded beards and stupidly named gaseous beverages." I mean, they are the epitome of the Marmite brand. Some people love it, some people hate it, but they all do so with equal vigour. It's absolutely astonishing. Now, beyond the strongest beer in the world served in dead animals, BrewDog have also done some incredible and crazy outlandish stuff. They've driven tanks down Camden Town. They've stuck it to Vladimir Putin. They've set world records and launched the largest equity funding round ever. This celebration for this is hilarious. This celebration for their largest equity funding round ever was to literally drop fat cats, stuffed cats, into the city of London where all of the stock market stuff happens. Absolutely crazy. Now, of course, they are loved and hated with equal vigour by so many people, but their brand is uncompromising, it's aggressive, it's often completely outrageous, but it's deeply, I believe, deeply authentic. Their passion is totally about beer. Beer is really what it's all about for them. Now, of course, many people believe this to be just all show, but for me, it doesn't really matter. You can't fault their drive and their authenticity. And I think in a world of sameness and average and mediocre, it's absolutely delightful to see someone really putting a stake in the ground about who they are and who they want to be. BrewDog's brand is undeniably winning. Now, this year, of course, they've changed their packaging, they've changed their visual identity. For me, it's almost like the teenage punk rockers have grown up, but still with that sense of attitude, that sense of outlandishness, that sense of aggression, but it's more filtered. It's presented in a more adult and more mature way. It's like these teenagers have just figured out what's going on in the world. Now they're channeling that aggression and that angst towards positive measures, but still using that same gritty ballsiness that they've always had. Now, they've slightly toned down that anti-establishment stance, but with billboards like this, "Fuck you, CO2", that actually got banned physically from appearing, but blew up in social media. They know how to get their messages out there. James Watt is a genius when it comes to social media and making sure that whatever he does, he capitalizes on it in the right way, in that kind of authentic, driven, passionate kind of way. Now, what is it that we can take and we can learn from this amazing story about BrewDog? For me, there are 4 major takeaways when we're thinking about our brands and the brands that we're trying to create. Number 1 is that trying to be everything to everyone really means you're going to be nothing to anybody. Number 2 is that 100 people that truly love you is way better than 10,000 that just like you. Number 3, it's absolutely fine to pick up haters along the way. In fact, it's probably a signal that you're doing something interesting, which probably means you should absolutely keep on going. Number 4 is that authenticity wins every single time. So when you're thinking about brand, your own brand, your personal brand, or a brand of your business, going middle of the road is a surefire way to lose out in the long run. Push the boundaries, say something that's contentious that some people are going to hate you for. Push it as much as you can. This is something that I'm thinking about a huge amount now. It's going to be really interesting to see where we can each push our brands to the extremes so that we can pick up some absolute fans, and maybe along the way we'll get some people that really don't like us. So it is just gone 11 a.m. I've got some beer right here. Be a shame to let it go to waste. Let's have a beer. Of course, you know the deal. Don't forget to subscribe. Smash it, caress it, press it in any way, shape or form you desire. But it'll be amazing if you continue to join me on this journey. Thanks so much. I'll catch you later.